All right, mic check, mic check. Welcome, gorgeous people. Welcome to another episode of. I don't really think there's anything lazy about the story I'm about to tell, or let me start this over again, okay? Because this intro is a little bit all over the place. So let me start this one up over again. Alright, hello gorgeous ones. Welcome back to another episode of A Lazy Girl's Guide. I am your girl, Unique Love, and today I am going to be talking about my experience with living at home being an adult. So basically, the reason I wanted to talk about this story is because in my last vlog, I kind of showed you guys a little bit about my life, and I told you guys that I lived at home with with 4 other people, basically my family. I live at home, and sometimes when you're like 26 years old and you're still living at home, based on today's society, it's a little bit like frowned upon, because everybody's expected to have like their shit together, and I just think that that's wrong. Like, when people hear that you've been living at home at the age of like 26, 25, 26, it's like a little bit of a turn off. It's a turn off because they're like, oh, at the age of 26 you should have your shit together, you should be on your own. My story is a little bit different. It's not necessarily me just being like a bum. It's not me just being a bum, so I stayed at home. There are actually many reasons that go into the idea of me staying at home. And I just wanted to make this video because I know like a bunch of kids, you know, soon they will be graduating college, or maybe you're somebody who is living at home right now just trying to get your stuff together, and it's a little bit tough. And you know, a lot of people don't talk about this subject because some people find it to be very embarrassing. Not me, because there are reasons for it. I feel like everybody who has to live at home at the age of like 26, 27, hell, even 30, there's a reason behind it. Now, there are some of us, you know, we just gave up and we don't care anymore. And then there's some of us who are actually working towards something, and that's why we're kind of in this situation. But I just wanted to like touch base on something like this, since I don't hear a lot of people talk about that part. I see a lot of people talking about like they're moving out, or moving out at a young age and getting their life together at a young age, and it's not like that for all of us. If you find yourself at an older age living at home and you're struggling to get your stuff together, I understand how that could feel. So I just wanted to like make this video just for words of encouragement, to let you know you're not alone, and we all don't have our stuff together at the age of 26, sometimes even 30. You know, some of us are still finding ourselves. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit quick background of like how I ended up being a 26-year-old who's still living at home. So I graduated college in 2016, and I had many plans when I graduated. I don't know why I didn't think about my family situation before leaving college, but I basically went to college in Florida while my family had moved from Florida, and they had moved over to Maryland because that's where my dad could find work. And while I was in college, I was a little bit distant from all of like the financial woes that my family was going through. So when I came back from college, I had graduated, and I was like, oh man, I'm about to start this life. And I had a laundry list of things I was going to get done and how I was going to get them done. And then life hit. I got home and I was like, wait a minute, we don't even have an apartment. We're basically living in a basement. And in Maryland, it's very common for basement living because some people renovate their basements and it's fit to live. It's just an added compartment to their house. It's completely finished, completely renovated. But the one that we were living in did not have a kitchen, and we did not want to go upstairs to like interact with like the owners. Not that anything was wrong with the person who owned the house, it's just like my family, we're not mixers. We don't really mix like that with a lot of people. We tend to keep to ourselves. So when I moved back from college, that was like the first awakening of like, okay, you're in for like a lot of hard work. So I moved in and with my dad, and it was supposed to be something that I was like expecting to come home and like follow this dream of doing whatever I wanted to do. And reality sets in pretty quickly, like your dad and your sister are not really strong, and neither are you. Okay, neither was I, because I was a recent graduate, no job lined up, no internship lined up. Just I had no idea what I thought was gonna happen after college. So when I came in and I realized like my family was still living in the basement, I was like, okay, we are better if we work together. So I ended up getting a job at a structured settlement company. I ended up getting a job at a structured I can't speak, but I ended up getting a job at a structured settlement company. I'm not gonna go into what that is, okay? If you know, I'm not gonna go into what that is. JG Wentworth, if you know what JG Wentworth is, then you know what structured settlements is. So I got a job at a structured settlement company, and I realized like in college, the one thing that I had done right was I built up a credit while I was in college. I was working when I was in college. I had my own apartment while I was in college. I was basically very independent while I was in college. So I had built a really good credit. Whereas my family, that was something that wasn't really strong. So when I came back home, I decided that we should all work together to kind of get out of this financial hole we found ourselves in. So I decided to go look for an apartment, and at the time it was just me, my dad, and my sister, so no worries there. We got a 2-bedroom apartment. I ended up me and my sister ended up taking the master bedroom, which was big enough for both of us to share, and my dad ended up taking like the 2nd bedroom. And we did this because it was going to save us a whole lot of money. And mind you, when I graduated college with $40,000 in student loans and $6,000 in credit card debt. Okay, I was not about to go live by myself to take care of nothing. So I got the apartment and we all moved in together, and my brother and my mom were not here yet. So this apartment was perfectly fine for my dad, my sister, and myself. I'm just looking at my notes. Yeah, so it was perfect for us. Now what was it like? It was very at first I was very scared because I'm a child of African parents. Now my dad is very chill. Sometimes he's a little too chill, but my dad is really chill. He doesn't come with a whole lot of control systems, but at the same time I respect my dad enough to know like it wasn't anything that I could do in his house. Even though I got the apartment, I still considered it my father's house because, you know, out of respect. So I couldn't do everything that I technically was doing in college. I couldn't do it at home. And at that time, like, my dad didn't even know like I was a drinker yet. So I was like, oh man, what if I want to drink, or what if I want to like have a get together? There's no way I can do that with my dad living in the house with me. So that's basically where my worries was coming from, was like, was my dad gonna see me as an adult and treat me as such, or was he still gonna see me as like this little girl who went to college and now she's back? Luckily, my father is not a stereotypical African dad. Like, he controls, but he loosened the rope when I came back home, because I think he realized like I was an adult who was capable of taking care of herself, considering I took care of myself for 4 years with no troubles while I was in college. So it wasn't bad. Now, my mother was not home at this time. She was still in Sierra Leone with my brother. When my mom moved over to the States and started living with us, that's where it kind of like was a little bit rocky, because my mom is extremely traditionalist. Like, she's a traditional African woman. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, I, in my mother's eyes, I will not be considered an adult until I'm probably like married with children and living in my own home. That's the only time I think in my mom's eye I'll be considered an adult. And if you go into, that's normal if you go into any type of like African home. Like for your parents to see you as a child until you actually get married and have kids, it's completely normal. So that was the only thing, because when my mom came, and also she's very like a traditional woman, like she's very feminine, like she expects women to like cook, clean type deal. She's not a bad woman, she's absolutely loving, I love her to death, but that's just her ways. She expects women to be like in the kitchen, taking care of the house, and let's just say I am not that. I have a whole vlog talking about being lazy, and that's like so taboo in my culture, for a woman to be lazy and not wanting to take care of the home. It is super taboo. But I was raised by my dad. I really technically don't care for women's work. I don't really know what women's work is. Not that I don't clean my house and I don't cook, I just don't care for it. Like, that's not the life I want to live. So it was, those clashes did happen because my mom thought that way about women and like the roles they play in the home, and my mind was always like, I need money, I want money. And it was never like, okay, I need to take care of like domestic things. So in that aspect, it was a little bit tough to like balance those two, but me and my mom kind of like worked through it, considering like she started understanding how I worked, because though I wasn't like domestically responsible, I was responsible when it came to finances. Like, I'm pretty savvy with money, I'm pretty like responsible with my family and making sure like my family is good and taken care of. If we're doing any projects that the family has to pitch into, like she would tell you, I'll be the first person to like put money in. And me and her are similar in other ways apart from like domestics, so we mended that a little bit faster than I thought it was going to get mended. Like, we really saw eye to eye after a while. But before, when she just moved back, when she moved from Sierra Leone to America, she was not having it. She could not understand how, you know, my room could get messy and I would not want to fix it, or me just like going in and coming out, because those are things in Sierra Leone. A boy will be expected to do certain things like that a little bit more than a girl was expected to. So like I said, my family, we are pretty tight-knit, meaning this whole process has not been as tough as it could have been, because though family can get toxic, my family is not that. We tend to iron everything out immediately they occur. So our dynamic did not change a whole lot, because like I said, my dad is like a very forward-thinking person. So when my mom came and he saw like, okay, there were certain frictions that were taking place, he immediately did this thing called like family time. And basically what family time was, to just sit at the kitchen table. Literally every Sunday we'll eat dinner and we'll just iron out how the week went. So like if somebody had beef with somebody, if somebody had a clash with someone, we'll just lay it all out in the table and we'll talk about it. That's the table. Like, we'll talk about finances, who's struggling, what is going on with you, like how can we help you. We did that at the family table. So that really helped me transition into adulthood, and it also helped my younger siblings to transition better too. So if you had an issue, you could bring it to the table, we'll talk about it. If you have a problem, we'll talk about it. Now, I'm not gonna say all meetings ended up in like a positive tone. Some meetings, when we had them, they just ended. They did not really end positively, but the more we did those meetings, the more we did those talks, the more we understood each other, the better our dynamics got. So as an adult child living at home, it's not that I did not face any challenges, it's that my parents were willing to work with me as I transitioned into like adulthood. Mental, oh, I know I've seen this, like a lot of people are like, oh, I just had to move out because my mental state was on the rocks. Like I said, my family, we're pretty tight-knit. So though there were moments where I felt depression or I felt anxiety about certain topics that would be brought up by my parents towards me and how I was living my life, excuse me, a lot of it was a very healthy conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of it was very healthy. Like, my parents genuinely are always concerned about their kids. Like, I know sometimes parents can be toxic, but my parents breathe life into my life. Like, they consistently breathe blessings into my life. Now, being African, the negative does slide in there, the shade does come, but for the most part, my parents will pray for me. They want me to succeed. Like, I don't have parents who are, and I don't think anybody has parents who are thinking ill of them, but I do know some people clash with their parents so much so that it feels like their parents don't technically love them like that. So I didn't feel that. So my mental was always okay. And when it wasn't okay, if I couldn't talk to my mom about it, I will be able to talk to my dad about it. And most of the time I did talk to my dad, because my dad is a little bit, me and him are a little bit similar when it comes to like how we think. So I could always bounce ideas off of him and he would bounce ideas off me, and we were able to work it out. So my mental state wasn't bad. Like, I never was like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out right now because, you know, I can't fix this one problem. So when the stress came, my parents, you know, were willing to work with me. And if it was a subject that just, we always ended up in an argument when it came up, we will avoid it for a long time. We'll just leave that conversation alone and then we'll come back to it. Well, my mental, honestly, I think it's been a really good process for me, because I didn't really get out of college and then jump out of the nest. In college, I felt like, even when I was in college, I felt like I still had a huge support system behind me, because my dad, you know, whenever I had an issue, he was always there ready to help me out, even if it wasn't financial. So because like our financial situation was really tough and it just started getting better, but even if it wasn't financial, he was there for moral support. You know, he was there to just be the grounding factor for myself and my sister. So I've not had like some major mental problems that I can't fix, or it hasn't ruined the relationship between me and my parents. I think actually it makes it stronger, and I think it's actually made my family dynamic a lot stronger, because when you're stuck in a 2-bedroom, 1 kitchen, 1 living room house with 4 other people, you have to quickly learn how to get over yourself and get over certain things, or else you're just going to be miserable, because it's family. They're going to do something that's going to annoy you. They're going to do something that's going to irritate you. And if you don't work really fast to get over those things, you can fester and just make the dynamics really off. Now, not to say sweep it under the rug, but meaning as in work through it, process it, and if somebody apologizes, accept it and move on. That's all I got for you. Like, literally, if you can do that, you can operate within a tight scope like that. And if you have a toxic relationship with your family, please do not do this. Like, if you know your family cannot get over certain things and you guys are not open and honest with each other and you don't talk about things a lot, I don't advise you moving in with your family right outside of college. I would advise you go probably find your own spot, but you know, still trying to work with your family. It is tough though, I will say. If you're coming from a background that's not very rich, going out on your own and like standing on your 2 feet, I know a lot of friends who do it and I applaud them for that, but I just knew I wanted to be financially secure at a certain age, and the only way I could do that was if I did this part, which a lot of people don't want to do. A lot of people don't want to go back home after college. A lot of people just want to, they tasted freedom and they want that freedom to keep going. But because I knew where I wanted to be financially at the age of like 30 or 40, I was like, I'm not from a lot of money. I'm not going to feed myself to the wolves and gain more debt, I'm gonna come home and we're gonna sort it out here. And that brings me to like the final reason, like the final way I feel about this: financial. Like I said, I'm not like a woman who wants to, I'm not like a woman who wants to cook, clean, and, you know, feed the babies. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Like, I know a lot of girls who, that's their dream. My dream has always been to be like financially stable before I even meet Mr. Right and have children. And I've always felt like I should be financially stable before I do any of those things. And and some people have a different like perspective on that. Some people feel like, you know, family comes first. I want to have a family, and even if I'm not in a financially good situation, you know, God got me and the universe got me, I'll be fine. But I will still have a good relationship with my kids and with my husband, and that will make them happy. Especially in my culture, like a woman, like a lot of girls, their goals is to get married and have a family, and that just was not mine. That has never been one of my goals. So financial reasons is why I did this. When I graduated, like I said, I had $40,000 in debt and $6,000 in debt from credit card bills. The reason I acquired $6,000 is because my moving costs, like when I was leaving college finally, and I lived in an apartment, so I had to store my furniture at a storage facility for a while, and to do that I had to pay. Okay, so I moved back into the dorms for like my final year of college because it was financially smart, and I couldn't find a roommate at this point, so I wasn't going to take a apartment by myself. Moving into the dorms again was a way of saving money. And so that meant all my furniture had to go into storage while I was writing out my last year in college. So quickly my credit card bill went up quickly. It was super fast. So when I graduated, I came home, I looked at my finances. I did not have a job just yet. I was like, I want to leave debt free. I'm still working on that goal. But by moving in with my dad, and my dad and my sister at the time were working together, my dad paid half of the rent and I paid the other half. What this did was help my dad free up some of his finances so he could quickly like recover from the damages that had occurred in his financial life. So it really helped him gain a quick understanding and a quick resolve for his financial issues. So his finances kept going up just fine, and me and him were working together to pay for the apartment, and then him and my sister will split the smaller bills. Okay, and then as my dad got financially better and stable, he was able to cut it and pay a good amount of the rent, and I only paid like maybe 1/4 or so of that rent, which was really good. So same thing, and as he climbed to another financial level, he now pays the entirety of the rent at this moment. Okay, so I started off paying half, then I paid 1/4, and now my dad pays everything. And let me tell you, when my dad took over the entire rent for our apartment, freed up everything, and immediately that happened, like while I was paying 1/4 of the rent, I was able to get a second job additional to like the job that I was doing full time, and I quickly paid off my $6,000 Wells Fargo loan. Okay, so being at home quickly, like, I mean, every funds I made was to go into that debt. Every fund, if I got money from the government, from taxes, I put majority of it into my debt. If I came across money from a relative, I put it into the debt. So I paid off my $6,000 debt really quickly. And then when my dad took over 100% of the rent, and me, my sister, and my mom were now only paying for the smaller bills like internet, cable, and stuff like that, I have cut my $40,000 loan that I graduated with to about $37,000 and some change. The reason it's only $37,000 and some change at this time is because I was also working really hard to pay off that $6,000 loan from Wells Fargo, which I did. I completely paid it off. I have to look back into like my camera roll to see when I paid it off, because I definitely posted it on my Instagram. And if you're not following me on Instagram, my Instagram is unique_lav, UNIC_LAV. So you could probably find it there still. I posted about it because I felt so successful to have done something like that. So why am I doing this? Because, you know, a lot of times when you graduate college, everybody just expects you to know, and they're like, why won't you leave on your own? Go leave on your own. Sometimes it's impossible. If you're coming from poverty, if you're coming from like a less fortunate background, it's hard to stand financially. So if you can move in with your family for even if you only do it for 5 years, or even if you're only able to do it for a year, it will greatly help your finances. Okay, in this short period of time, I've been able to save up $4,000 and did LASIK. I used to wear glasses. I saved up $4,000 and did LASIK. I paid off $6,000 loan. I've paid off a huge chunk of my student loan. It was $40K. Now it's at $37K, and it's gonna keep dropping because my dad now pays 100% of our rent. Okay, and I'm still putting money into my savings. So financially, by the age of 30, I'm going to be pretty strong versus somebody who graduated college and probably is not from a very well-off family. They started off by themselves and they're paying rent for the place they live at, and then they're paying all their other bills by themselves. Financially, that person is not going to be as strong as somebody who is going to do the method I am using. And like I said, if you don't have a good relationship with your family, this is probably going to be tough for you. But if you have a good relationship with your family, even though it's like frowned upon by society, I think it's worth trying. I think for you to be in a stronger financial situation when you're older, it's good to now go back home, live there for a little bit, save money, save as much money as you can, and then jump off to do your own thing. But if you just graduate, you don't have a dime into your name, you have a ton of debt, and then you jump off to go live on your own, sometimes it's tougher. It's really tough to come back from that. Like, you could find yourself in almost $100,000 in debt by the age of like 35, and I personally don't want that for myself. So I am choosing this route. Now, if somebody meets me on the street and wants to shame me for living at home at the age of 26, we can discuss where you are at in life and where I am at. But for the most part, I haven't gotten any flack about it. But also, I don't really talk to people about my personal life like that, so I don't think anybody will have an opportunity to give me any type of like problems about it. Nobody has shamed me for it, and if they did shame me for it, I will have a logical explanation as to why they should mind their business and as to how I'm succeeding because I'm using this method. So I just wanted to come on camera really quickly and just talk about that, because I know when you put stuff in the air like that, like, oh, I live at home with 4 other people in a small apartment, people are like, you know, she doesn't have her stuff together, she doesn't know what she's doing. But yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Like, I have accomplished a lot of financially important things by living at home and having my father cover the rent. And in all actuality, it also helps my dad, because Had I not come home, had we not put our hands together to work as a unit instead of separately, we won't be at the financial position that we are now. And my dad will also not be at the financial position where he is now, where he can now take care of a lot of stuff by himself without needing any help. And he did not wish this upon himself. Things happened that led him to the path of financial things, like, death took place, downsizing occurred in his job. So a lot of stuff happened to him that caused him to be in the financial predicament that he found himself in, other than just he's an irresponsible man who didn't take care of his bills. That's not what happened. So when I graduated, I just felt like as a unit we were better. So yeah, I hope this helps you. I hope this relieves any type of pain or shame that you might be feeling about your situation if you leave at home. And I hope you continue to work hard and you continue to work towards your financial freedom, even if it's a slower process, because not all of us can be entrepreneurs who start raking in millions of dollars. Some of us actually have to get a 9-to-5 and work harder, because that entrepreneurship is just not for us, and that's okay too. So if you like this video, go ahead and thumbs up it. It's your girl Unique Lav, and comment below what difficulties you've experienced while trying to navigate the life of an adulthood, and tell me what you've experienced since you graduated college. If this video helps you at all, if it doesn't, just let me know. All right, love you guys. Bye.